Hey guys, it's me, Keely. Just a disclaimer. There's going to be some graphic discussion of SA and trafficking and things like that. So if that's something that is triggering for you, skip this video. I really don't want anyone to be going through a hard time and then hear the type of things that are in this indictment because it is very triggering. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up. Okay, I love you. Hi, welcome to Abercrombie. Make sure you check out our sexy fleece. Hi, welcome to Abercrombie. Are you ready for spring break? Those are the only two taglines I remember. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Keely. Today, this video is going to be a little different, but not that different from stuff we usually watch. So I saw that the CEO of Abercrombie, Mike Jeffries, who, by the way, mega creep, got in trouble for being a creep. Surprise! Took him long enough. I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. I know it's hard to believe because I look like this when I come on my videos because I'm like at home and I'm on dialysis and like I don't have any reason to put on a full face. Okay, I can't afford that anymore. I'm on Social Security. So this is what you guys get. But I did actually used to be cute and I used to model and I had a really good agency and I worked at Abercrombie and got scouted to work at Abercrombie. It was actually around the same time that I got cast on America's Next Top Model. Never ended up doing it. Pretty sure I'll have a story about that sometime. But this was like in 2006, and I worked there until about 2008. And I will say for retail, like I would much rather work in a prison than ever go work at retail again. So it's not that Abercrombie was a bad job. It was just their expectations for being a store at the mall, like what they expected out of their employees was a little unhinged. I worked there in like its heyday, and I remember not being specifically told that we couldn't wear the color black, but I wore a shirt that I thought was navy blue, and they were like, they swore it was black, but it just wasn't an Abercrombie shirt. And they made me go home and change. And they had like this old dirty razor in the back, like storage warehouse bathroom or whatever for the guys. And they would have to like shave if the manager didn't think that like, if they thought they were too scruffy. Yeah, it was, and they would have us send Polaroids into the headquarters people all the time to see, that's how they would scout models for like the posters on the walls. And like I was supposed to take one of those posters home, but I think that was around the time I got in I got in my first car accident in the mall parking lot on my way to work at Abercrombie, and I got T-boned by a sheriff's deputy. True story, super fun. Had to go to the hospital. Abercrombie was calling me like, is she gonna show up? My dad was like, well, she's strapped to a board in the emergency room right now. And they're like, yeah, but is she gonna be able to come in? He was like, no, like, fuck off. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, their managers have to have bachelor's degrees. I'm like, okay, sure, Abercrombie. But yeah, there was always random shirtless teenagers, like teenage guys standing up by the front door, which now I think about it, fucking weird and creepy. But I was a teenager myself, so I didn't think it was that weird because they were like a little older than me, maybe around my age. Hot guys, didn't care. But I really liked everybody that I worked with, and I still occasionally talk to some of the people I used to work with back in the day, back in my heyday. So I heard that the CEO, Mike Jeffries, got indicted on, it looks like, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here, R-word charges, and trafficking. So that's bad. I'm not surprised. Mike Jeffries has always been a freaking creep. Everybody knew he was a creep. Like, I was super naive back then, and I really didn't I was very naive. I was extremely naive. I was very sheltered. And, yeah, even I knew that he was creepy. And, he never came by our store, but like people talked about it all the time. Like you didn't want to be one of the male models he picked to go like to his house. Cause he would like, yeah, we'll see if they mention any of this, and I don't want to like get ahead of myself, but there were rumors, people knew about it. I was very surprised that no one had done anything. I never saw anything or heard anything more than rumors and hearsay, so obviously there's nothing I could have done about it, but I'm really glad that they finally caught him because, yeah, this has been a thing. Like, people have known that he's a creep. Pretty sure he's a big Trump supporter, too. Yeah, so that's, we'll get into all that. We're going to watch his indictment. Long Crime they put it up, so we're going to watch that. And yeah. Oh, by the way, do you guys like my gang unit shirt? I got it after a date. We didn't work out, but at least I got a badass gang unit shirt. I went out with one of the gang unit guys. He was like, "Do you want this shirt?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do. That shirt's dope. Hell yeah." Okay. Anyway, unhood. Let's go. Let's do this. Gang. All right, if you guys like my video, make sure you click that little like button and subscribe to my channel. And, oh, by the way, my eyes already look a lot better. It's starting to look like it's going back. I can see out of it. I can read. I can watch. I can see that TV. That's crazy. I injured it so bad, but it's, like, so much better now. So, yay. You guys don't have to look at my ugly face looking, like, crazy anymore. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this started. We're going to react to this indictment. So, let's see what they have to say about the Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, Mike Jeffries. Man, a $90 sweater. I'm just thinking about, they give us like a 30% discount. They would send you home for like chip nail polish. I have like so many crazy rules that I remember Abercrombie like requiring of us, the models, like the floor employees. I remember people would come in and like walk off with like handfuls of stuff. We couldn't chase them out.
To anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the so-called casting couch system, this case should serve as a warning. Prepare to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison.
Okay. Go off, Queen. Who is this diva?
Powerhouse clothing brand.
There it is.
Jeffries,
ooh.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of that lady who had all that surgery to make herself look like a cat.
Is now accused and charged with sex trafficking.
He looks like me. Like my eyes all fucked up like that too.
Who apparently sports a snakeskin patch on his nose. I know. It's a lot, but we're going to dive in, and we're going to bring you everything we know so far.
I'm scared. I don't like this.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse.
I love some Abercrombie Fierce, though. I love that cologne.
Deviant and a predator. That's what alleged victims call Mike Jeffries.
He is.
This is the man who was once
He's a degenerate.
of the fashion industry when he was heading up Abercrombie and Fitch. Well, now Jeffries, his romantic partner Matt Smith, and a third man,
he's
Jim
very
Jacobson,
difficult to look at.
They have all reportedly been arrested as
I like
part
the dog.
of an FBI probe into alleged sex trafficking. As if we didn't talk enough about sex trafficking when it came to Sean Combs, but now
I'm glad all these people are getting busted.
Caught up in similar allegations. So this comes as a grand jury for the Eastern District of New York indicted the men on charges of sex trafficking and interstate prostitution, specifically citing 15 John Does who say that they were victimized as part
This
of
makes me really upset. This is sad.
Prosecutor Nima Rahmani to talk more about this. Nima, so good to have you. Thanks for jumping on. What is your reaction to this? I mean, this is as I said, we weren't talking enough about Sean Combs. Now
nobody should be surprised.
For anyone who
nobody should be surprised when it comes to Mike Jeffries. You guys people have known this for so long.
Major player in a different industry.
Why did this take so long?
Jesse, I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm not.
That's what I said.
Allegations have been circulating for quite some time.
A long time.
Lawsuit that's filed. Now, I didn't expect the feds to come in and make these types of arrests. Oftentimes,
he got picked up by the feds
when there's a civil lawsuit, but clearly there's enough smoke here and enough evidence.
He's gonna
come
be.
In. And the Eastern District of New York, they don't mess around. It's like the Southern District.
No, they don't.
They handled the R. Kelly case. They've handled.
Oh shit! Yeah, he's going to prison for a while.
Case.
That's dude. Didn't Jen Shaw? Wait. Wasn't Jen Shaw? Wasn't from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? Wasn't her case in New York too. She almost got 30 years. I think she ended up getting like 10 years or something. Yeah, they don't fucking play.
First, handling these types of claims, and what's really interesting to me is obviously we're talking about a lot of victims, but really the dates of the offenses. Some of these allegations are older, going back to 2008, as recent as
when I worked there. I told you guys.
Maybe the feds were
I told you
a little bit when it comes to statute of limitations for some of these allegations.
I told y'all. We all knew about it back then.
Interesting, and we'll talk a little bit more about what might have motivated this, but to bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah, what took so long?
Into these three men, it centers around whether they exploited and abused young men at parties that were hosted all around the world.
Yeah, they would pull from their fucking teenage floor models.
80 years old. He lives in West Palm Beach, Florida. His partner, 60-year-old Matthew Smith, originally from the UK, lives
I love
there
West
too.
Palm, though.
And James Jacobson, sometimes referred to as Jim.
Ooh, he's scary.
Lives in Wisconsin. They're expected to make their initial appearances in their respective states. Then
someone save that dog.
In New York federal court at a later date. By the way, I should give everybody a disclaimer. When you see these photos of Jacobson that were featured in a BBC documentary about Abercrombie and Fitch, and its alleged cover-up of impropriety, and we'll talk about that, these photos have gone viral. And you'll see that Jacobson wears what appears to be a nose patch. It's a piece of what we believe to be snake skin over his nose. This is apparently to hide the result of a plastic surgery.
That's what I was thinking. His nose collapsed.
By the way, we're going to keep an eye out on this story.
They all have. I don't know who the fuck they was messing on their faces, but they did not do a good job.
Move on through the legal
He's got that like Botox eye.
That we can continue to do that for you. One of the reasons we able to put on these sidebars is because we get amazing support from our partners, and I really just
all right. Sorry guys, I can't. We got to go to the part that like matters. Sorry.
Tuesday, providing very disturbing details. So we're going to play you a portion of that announcement right now.
So here's what's alleged in the indictment. Jeffries and Smith employed James Jacobson to act as a recruiter to find men.
That's gross.
Jacobson engaged in, quote, tryouts with men across the world where he would typically pay them.
That makes me sad to hear
engage in
this.
sex acts with him. Following the tryouts with Jacobson, Smith would often then personally approve whether the men who were selected would meet Jeffries and Smith.
Does that remind me
of? The defendants would fly the selected men to Jeffries and Smith's homes in the Hamptons in New York City or to hotels around the world in such places as England, France.
This shit was enabled for so long and nobody did anything about it.
Of attending events to engage in commercial sex. But
rich people are degenerates, dude. Seriously.
Jeffries,
I grew up around rich people. I'm very poor now, but they're literally some of the craziest people.
To traffic those men for their own sexual gratification.
They just are so disconnected.
For example, as alleged, the defendants employed a referral system and an interview process that did not inform the men of the details of the sex events before they attended, including the full extent and nature of the sexual activity that would be required.
The new Bearskin Hoodie 4.0 claims to be the most advanced.
Freaking insane. It's actually making me
mad.
Of
the men at these events. They caused the men to believe that attending these sex events could yield modeling opportunities with Abercrombie.
Okay, so quickly, I modeled, like I told you guys, for a very long time, and this is so common. A lot of models, especially in fashion, which is, I did editorial and runway, and a lot of people, like the models, are literally like 14 years old and super, super naive, and a lot of them are out of their country by themselves for the first time ever. And so it's really easy for them to end up being manipulated by predators like these fucking people.
To fit their careers. Smith and Jeffries employed a secret staff to operate these sex events.
This makes my stomach hurt.
The staff ensured that the men signed non-disclosure agreements and handed over their personal items.
NDAs aren't always legally binding, though.
To maintain
not always.
Of The defendants caused the men to believe that not complying with requests for certain acts, sex acts, during the events could harm their careers. The defendants pressured the men to consume alcohol, Viagra, and muscle relaxants known as poppers during the sex events. And they required the presence
poppers
of staff
were
during the sexual activity
like whippets.
and ensured that the men did not leave the sex events until Jeffries and Smith decided that the sessions were over.
So they like trapped them in their house?
Also, as alleged,
Oh, those poor victims.
Jeffries and Smith either directed others to inject or personally injected men with an erection-inducing substance for the purpose of causing the men to engage in sex acts.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Engaging in or unwilling to engage in. Additionally, the indictment alleges on more than one occasion when men did not or could not consent, Jeffries and Smith violated the bodily integrity of these men by subjecting them or continuing to subject them to invasive sexual and violent contact by body parts.
This is worse than I thought.
And other objects.
This is so much worse than I thought.
As alleged in the indictment,
Oh, this is so much worse than I
Jeffries,
thought.
Smith, and Jacobson didn't just carry this activity on for a couple of occasions. Their sex trafficking and prostitution enterprise lasted at
This is
least
really triggering me.
from the end of 2008 until early 2015. During that period, the defendants hired
I guarantee you it was going on a lot longer than that because he had access to people
and around the globe.
for a very long time.
They spent millions of dollars on a massive infrastructure to support this operation and maintain its secrecy. This included
He had like a
hundreds,
compound.
thousands of dollars in cash for commercial sex, prolific amounts of money for staff to run the sex events, money for domestic travel, international
I have
travel,
some managers that I
hotel
very
rooms,
well would believe
service-
would have participated
services
because
from
they
a
were kind of
security
weird.
company, and Jacobson's salary.
I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying like I could totally see it.
Now, this investigation remains ongoing. Although there are 15 John Does identified as victims,
I left because they eventually cut all my hours down, but it was just not. It was a very toxic environment.
encompassed dozens and dozens of men. And I encourage anyone.
Men can be victims. I think people forget that.
Who was a victim of the defendant's alleged crimes to contact
Men can
the
be just
FBI.
as much of a victim of this type of assault as women.
Are incredibly disturbing allegations.
Yeah,
And for
they
me,
are.
What stands out is this level of organization of this. If you take these allegations as true, this was a systematic, well-organized scheme to do this.
I guarantee you it was going on a lot longer than 2008 to 2015. I guarantee it.
From the prosecutor.
How much can you afford in higher
Okay.
taxes?
These ads are crazy.
$3,000?
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit.
I agree with you. It takes away the
See what else they have to say.
and flying these men out. And, I think there are many individuals involved, and it
Be more difficult to challenge. Counts 2 through 16 allege interstate prostitution.
All right, here we go.
So,
We'll go back here.
Lima, what are ways to defend against this? Do you say, I had no knowledge about how these individuals were being brought here? This was all consensual? There was
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna,
coercion?
how
It
his
seems
defense
like a
attorney's gonna
complicated charge
take
when
this
we
one.
talked about sex trafficking, but how would someone like Mike Jeffries defend against it?
Once the feds have picked you up, they've got enough on
The
you.
first is to argue that the sexual contact didn't happen. Probably going to be tough in this case if there's a lot of witnesses and people that were helping recruit. And
I'm
secure
hoping
these
that
men
there
for
were
Jeffries and others.
enough
So then you
witnesses for them to
argue,
be,
get on the
like, to have
prostitution
enough
and the sexual
evidence.
contact happened. There's no commercial element, right? There's no payment, right? That would make it not prostitution. And of course, you would argue that it is consensual because, of course, consenting sex.
I wonder who
adults
turned this
is
in,
not
like-
unlawful. No matter how weird or freaky it may be, you can have sex toys, you can have drugs, you can have lubricants, you can have all.
You
that.
can literally
As long as
torture
there's not
someone as
commercial
long as it's
element, there's
consensual.
no force, fraud, or coercion. It's not a crime.
True
So
story.
That's where the defense is going to.
But you have to make sure it's consensual.
I think this one might be more difficult to challenge. Counts 2 through 16 allege interstate prostitution. that the co-defendants did knowingly and intentionally persuade, induce, entice, and coerce individuals to travel in interstate and foreign commerce.
Ooh, that's why the
engage
feds
in
picked him up.
prostitution. And the indictment also lays out approximate dates that 15 John Does allegedly had interactions with these men. Now,
Wow.
these are not known commercial sex workers.
Wow.
It seems to me if you can prove they traveled
That's a lot.
at the behest of these individuals or at the direction
He's going to
of these
prison the rest of his
individuals, or
life, I
maybe they were on
guarantee
private
it.
planes and they were together and they're being paid and you have receipts of the payment.
This is a year of retribution, I'm pretty sure.
Charge there to defend against.
A lot of people are getting their karma this year.
Cash, there's no way to prove there
We
was
had an
payment.
Aries eclipse.
But again, I made the same argument with the Sean Combs case. That charge feels tough to defend against. Am I wrong?
No, that's right. Prostitution is much easier for prosecutors to prove, more difficult, because you have that federal jurisdictional hook, that interstate travel, you have payment, you have sex, and that's it. Now, I don't think the feds would have filed this case if it was just a straight prostitution
That's what I'm saying.
case, not certainly
they don't care about that as much. This is like interstate trafficking.
Significant sentences that sex trafficking does, because sex trafficking essentially rape, right? So,
yeah.
That being said,
I remember that
serious,
picture.
Still federal crimes because of the interstate component, and certainly something that can be more readily proven.
I will say Abercrombie does have, like, they were genius with their marketing.
Now, in response to this arrest,
those black and white pictures of like everyone wanted to be those people, you know.
After the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not the media. And by the way, during this news conference, U.S. Attorney Peace, I should say, said that right now the indictment doesn't
Just criminal defense
that
attorneys can be such
the company
scuzbags.
had any role in the alleged sex trafficking and prostitution.
My mom's a criminal prosecutor, so I have my biases, but
as a way to bait and lure male models. That's an important distinction, right, Nemo?
It's very important, especially for the civil case. It's rare for an entity to be prosecuted criminally. It certainly does happen, but we know that many of these victims have filed civil lawsuits, and those civil lawsuits.
Good for them.
Abercrombie,
that's the second path. If they don't do anything on a criminal level, it's good to get a civil. See it if you can.
That puts the company on the hook for potentially big civil settlement or judgment. So that's very
Man, he is a really scary looking dude. I feel really bad for everybody that was a victim of his.
Church or any other entity. Civil plaintiffs want to bring in the entity to make sure that someone can pay a big settlement.
Yeah, so
personal finance.
Okay, I don't think I can watch any more of this. This is actually making me like kind of nauseous. Yeah, so that was that. That was the basics. I know that was kind of all over the place, but that's a lot worse than I thought. I mean, I knew he was a creep. I knew that he did some pretty shady stuff. Like, people would talk about it, about how he preferred the guy models, blah, blah, blah. But also, back in 2008, like, it was just it was kind of a different time. I hate saying that because there's not an excuse for it. But the way people spoke about stuff like this, like they kind of were nonchalant about this type of stuff. Like this was not something that would have been given very much attention in 2008. It probably would have been brushed under the rug a lot worse. So I'm really glad that these people have come forward, and it's hard. It's hard. You have to be extremely brave to come out against someone who has done something like that to you. Yeah, it's sad. And I think it's about time that these billionaires and millionaires start getting their comeuppance, because honestly, it's really been a year of retribution. And if I were somebody who did some shitty shit like that and I was really rich and famous, I would be fucking scared right now, because I think everyone's just fed up with it. I think everyone's just fed up. And now we have social media, and we have it like to a point where like information gets everywhere so quickly. Like you can't get away with shit anymore. I was saying that when we were watching, was it like a dash cam, or it wasn't a dash cam video. It was like some I don't know, it was some kind of video, and I was like, you can't get away with shit anymore because they have, like, drones, people have Ring cameras, like, it's getting a lot harder to be a criminal, so good! God, this is sad, man. I just hope that these people get justice, and I hope something happens to Mike Jeffries, because he has been a piece of shit for a really long time. So, anyway, what do you guys think about this situation? I just feel really bad for all the victims, but I hope that the justice system will do its part and they'll get some justice. So, until then, I don't think I'm ever going to give any my money to Abercrombie again. I mean, they have the only jeans that fit me, but I don't freaking need jeans. I'll get some on Shein. I don't care. But yeah, anyway, so let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, and make sure you tune in tomorrow for my next video, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, I love you. Bye.